Hello, my dear students. Once again, welcome back. Now we are coming towards the last phase of our session and the series we are going through for the last few days. So our series, which where we are discussing about the medieval Indian history, and right from Sher Shah Suri, we discuss all the things. So today we are going to discuss another exciting session. We are going to discuss another exciting topic, very interesting, very curious, and also very crucial from exam perspective. So today we are going to discuss about the cultural developments under Mughal Empire. Okay. In last lecture or a class, we discussed about Akbar and how Akbar basically emerged as a national monarch. Why he is known as one of the greatest emperors of India. So here under you will again see in cultural field also whatever achievements the Mughals had in the field of art, culture, architecture and your literature. Again the foundation was laid by Akbar only. Again the foundation was laid by Akbar and the process was continued by his successors. Okay. So that is what we are going to discuss today. So you will see that once the Mughals established themselves firmly under Akbar. Okay? Once Mughal Empire established itself firmly under Akbar, and once Akbar was able to give the administrative as well as law and order stability to the empire, once Akbar was able to protect the empire from defense and security point of view, then you will see that Mughals and especially Akbar got time and he had resources for entering into cultural activities. He patronized the cultural activities because Akbar ruled for long 50 years. Right? Akbar ruled for a long 49 to 50 years Akbar ruled. So definitely he had resources also and he had a time also. Plus he had a vision also and a passion also to go for art and architectural developments. So you will see, especially from the time of Akbar, right, we witness the emergence of a national culture, a composite Indo-Islamic culture, the culture which was brought by the Mughals from Persia and Central Asia, and the traits of Indian culture, they got amalgamated, and that's why a composite national Indo-Islamic culture emerged, and the tradition continued throughout the Mughal Empire. Okay? Even in 18th and 19th century, the tradition continued. And because of that, you will see the Mughal period is known as second classical age. इसलिए हम क्या देखेंगे, मुगल एम्पायर को कल्चरल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सेकंड क्लासिकल एज कहा जाता है. तो जाहिर सी बात है फिर पहला क्लासिकल एज कौन सा है, विच इज़ द फर्स्ट क्लासिकल एज. Then we have to go back to ancient Indian history during 4th to 6th century AD. When our ancient Indian history was about to end. At that time we had a mighty Gupta empire. Just like a mighty Mughal empire, we had a mighty Gupta empire. And under them, the first classical age, that means the first developments of art, culture and architecture of a highest level, they were witnessed under Gupta empire during the ancient India. While the Mughal empire, it is known as a second classical age. So let us see exactly what happened, what kind of developments took place under Mughals. So if we first come towards art and architecture, and specifically architecture, then as I mentioned, it was from the time of Akbar that the large scale construction started. Does it mean that Babur and Humayun, they didn't have any interest? They definitely had. But unfortunately for both of them, time was a constraint. Babur could not get a time, and for Humayun also, due to the political instability, he also could not engage himself into such activities. So Akbar had time, as I mentioned, resources, vision and passion. So you will see that Akbar built a very famous Agra fort in a red sandstone. Today we know that red fort is there in Delhi. It was also built under Mughals, as we will see later. It was built under Shah Jahan. Okay? Very next aspect we can see. But first red fort was built by Akbar at Agra, and it is called red fort because it was built in a stone which was of a red color, and that stone is called red sandstone. Right? That stone is called red sandstone. It is a special stone which is used for construction. Then fort building, as I mentioned, it reached the climax under Shah Jahan. Right? The fort construction was started by Akbar, but fort building reached the climax under Shah Jahan, and this climax is visible to us, the crown of the fort architecture. Okay, and actually in that crown is a red fort at Delhi. Again, it is called a red fort because red sandstone has been used. Many of you must have visited red fort of Delhi also, and if you haven't visited, definitely you should visit in future. So red fort at Delhi, it is famous with its Rang Mahal. Okay, red fort of Delhi, it has a three famous buildings inside it. It is called red fort because it has a fortification of red sandstone. Okay? Almost 3 kilometers long fortification of red sandstone is there, so it is called red fort. And inside that there are so many buildings, but three most important buildings include Rang Mahal, Diwan-e-Aam, and Diwan-e-Khas. All were built by Shah Jahan. Rang Mahal was like a cultural auditorium. Rang Mahal क्या था? It was like a cultural auditorium जहाँ पे डांस और म्यूजिक के परफॉर्मेंसेस होते थे. Diwan-e-Aam is like a today's Lok Sabha, okay? Where the people used to assemble and they used to meet the emperor. Diwan-e-Khas was like a secret assembly where basically the Mughal emperor or Mughal Badshah, he will sit with his ministers and then he will discuss some secret or important things. Okay, so these points we have to keep in mind. Now, what is important? Especially Diwan-e-Aam and Diwan-e-Khas, they are built of a complete marble. Despite the fact that they are a part of a red fort, they are built of a marble. This point we have to keep in mind. Then Akbar had built a separate fortress complex, a brand new city known as Fatehpur Sikri near Agra. It's 36 kilometers from Agra. Fatehpur Sikri was built by Akbar, okay, especially to celebrate his victory over Gujarat. Akbar got a victory over Gujarat, and once he made Gujarat as a part of his province or empire, okay, once he made Gujarat as a province of his empire, then he built a brand new city, Fatehpur Sikri. Fateh means victory, near Agra. And here you will see, to celebrate his victory, Akbar built so many buildings, and that's why you will see these buildings are built in a Gujarat and a Bengal style. Right? Here the Indian architectural features are clearly visible. Gujarat and Bengal style of architecture has been used by Akbar. Especially if you see the buildings which he used for his Rajput wives. अकबर के जो राजपूत वाइफ्स थे, जो हिंदू थे और गुजरात राजस्थान साइड से ही आते थे, उनके लिए अकबर ने बेसिकली गुजरात स्टाइल ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर बनाया था. तो उनके जो पैलेस वगैरह है वो गुजरात स्टाइल ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर में. फॉर एग्जांपल जोधाबाई's पैलेस, हरकाबाई's पैलेस, these palaces are in a Gujarat style. Then the most significant or most magnificent building that we can find in a Fatehpur Sikri is Jama Masjid of Fatehpur Sikri. And even beautiful is a grand gateway, a lofty gateway, known as Buland Darwaza, as far as this Jama Masjid is concerned. So this Buland Darwaza, as I mentioned, which Akbar built to celebrate his victory over Gujarat, you will find it has been built in a Persian technique. It is one of the last buildings of the Akbar to be built in a purely Persian techniques. ये भी पॉइंट एग्जाम परस्पेक्टिव से ध्यान में रखिए. बुलंद दरवाजा क्या है कि इट इज़ वन ऑफ द लास्ट बिल्डिंग्स ऑफ द अकबर टू बी बिल्ट इन अ प्योरली पर्शियन स्टाइल. इट इज़ वेरी यूजफुल, क्रूशियल फॉर एग्जामिनेशन. Then another building, okay, another building which is famous in Fatehpur Sikri, it is known as Panch Mahal. Okay? Another building which is famous at Fatehpur Sikri is a Panch Mahal. Panch Mahal is like a pyramid shaped building with 5 stories. That's why it is called Panch Mahal. Mahal means palace, Panch means 5. It is a 5-story palace in a pyramid shape, and it is also built in a red sandstone. That point we have to keep in mind. It is also built in red sandstone. Then again under Akbar you will see, as we discussed during the time of Humayun also, a beautiful tomb was built by Akbar for his father. It is Humayun's tomb. Where? At Delhi. He had seen it was built at Delhi. Okay? And in fact it was built on the request of Akbar's stepmother or Humayun's first wife, Haji Begum or Bega Begum. Okay? So that point is very crucial. And what is a major feature or key feature of the Humayun's tomb? A dome of a marble. Humayun tomb has a beautiful dome which is made of fully marble. Okay? And in fact there is not a single dome, there is a double dome. Right? What is the peculiarity of the Humayun tomb? It doesn't have a single dome, it has a two domes, it has a double dome. Right? So it is a double dome technique which was used by the Mughals as far as the Humayun tomb was concerned. Right? And normally it is said that Humayun tomb was like a reflection or trailer for Taj Mahal. Right? Later once the Taj Mahal was built, the trailer was basically in the form of Humayun tomb. तो हुमायूं टॉम के बेसिस के ऊपर ही ताजमहल बना है. ठीक, ये पॉइंट भी ध्यान में रखना है. चलो अभी आते हैं जहांगीर की तरफ. लेट्स सी अबाउट जहांगीर, वेदर जहांगीर वाज इंटरेस्टेड इन buildings or not. So you will see, like Akbar or Shah Jahan, Jahangir may not be interested in building the different types of architecture, because as we have seen, Jahangir's focus was in paintings. And Jahangir was much more interested in paintings. But Jahangir's beautiful wife Nur Jahan, Jahangir's beautiful wife Nur Jahan, she took some kind of interest in a building the architecture. In a building construction and architecture, Jahangir's wife Nur Jahan used to take interest. And that's why you will see Nur Jahan built the tomb for her father. Nur Jahan ने अपने father के लिए एक tomb बनवाई थी आगरा में. So that tomb is known as Tomb of Ittimad Uddaulah. The name of Nur Jahan's father was Ittimad Uddaulah, and that's why the tomb is known as the Tomb of Ittimad Uddaulah. And what is important from exam perspective, ये aspect exam perspective से क्यों important है? Because ये इंडिया की पहली टॉम्ब है जो पूरे मार्बल से बनी है. ये इंडिया की पहली टॉम्ब है जो पूरे मार्बल से बनी है. Not only it is constructed of a fully marble, it is white marble, but inside the tomb, on the walls, you have floral designs. You have the designs of beautiful flowers, and within that flowers, semi-precious stones have been, we can say, fixed. Within that flowers, semi-precious stones have been fixed. So such a type of costly decoration, is called Petra Dura. Such a type of costly decoration is known as Petra Dura. This aspect we have to keep in mind. Then, so as I mentioned, Nur Jahan used to take that interest in the building construction. But does it mean that Jahangir did nothing? Definitely not. At least one building was constructed by Jahangir, and that was the tomb of his father, that is Akbar. Jahangir was the son of Akbar. So Jahangir basically completed the Akbar's tomb at a place called Sikandara near Agra. आगरा के पास ही सिकंदरा नाम की जगह है, वहाँ पे अकबर का जो टॉम्ब है वो जहांगीर ने कंप्लीट किया था. ठीक, ये पॉइंट ध्यान में रखना है. देन एज वी कैन सी लेटर ऑन, द वेरी टेक्निक ऑफ दिस पेत्रा दुरा which was introduced by Nur Jahan in that tomb of Ittimad Uddaulah, it was made more and more popular by Shah Jahan. It was further popularized by whom? Shah Jahan. And especially in Taj Mahal, this Petra Dura was used on a profuse scale. Especially in Taj Mahal, this Petra Dura was used on a very large scale. This point we have to keep in mind. This will also be asked in the examination. And who introduced the technique? Who popularized it? And सबसे ज़्यादा आपको पेत्रा दुरा किस में मिलता है? तो जाहिर सी बात है ताजमहल जो शाहजहां ने ही बिल्ड किया था. ठीक, तो चलिए शाहजहां केस में देखते हैं. ऑलरेडी हमने देखा ऑलरेडी हमने क्या देखा, शाहजहां के अंडर फोर्ट का जो आर्किटेक्चर है वो अपने टॉप पे चला गया, क्लाइमैक्स पे चला गया है, जिसका एग्जांपल रेड फोर्ट है. बट शाहजहां इज नॉट नोन ओनली फॉर रेड फोर्ट, ही इज बेस्ट नोन टू द होल वर्ल्ड. Shahjahan is famous throughout the world for his jewel, one of the 7 wonders of the world, that is Taj Mahal. And again, as I am saying repeatedly, many of you must have visited Taj Mahal, and if you haven't visited as yet, definitely in the future you should. So Taj Mahal is definitely like a jewel as far as the architecture and construction is concerned. It is one of the 7 wonders of the world in 1983. Okay, UNESCO World Heritage Site status was granted to Taj Mahal, and it was also declared as one of the 7 wonders of the world, along with the pyramids of Egypt. Okay, this point we have to keep in mind. And if Taj Mahal is jewel, because all features of Mughal architecture you will find in a single building, that is Taj Mahal. Okay? All features of a Mughal architecture we will find in a single building, that is Taj Mahal. The chief feature or a key feature of the Taj is massive dome, and beautiful marble dome is a key feature, and 4 slender minarets, 4 slender, we can say, pillars on a 4 corners of a building. Okay? Then again we will see after Taj. So Taj Mahal is like a tomb, right? Taj Mahal तो tomb है, and Taj Mahal किस लिए बनाया गया था? शाहजहां की जो सबसे प्यारी वाइफ थी, जिनका नाम था मुमताज महल, जिनका नाम था मुमताज महल, वो उनकी अनटाइमली डेथ हुई थी, उनकी बहुत जल्दी डेथ हुई थी. उनकी याद में ये ताजमहल बनाया गया था, और वो प्यार का प्रतीक माना जाता है. इट इज अ सिंबल ऑफ लव. ताजमहल इज कंसिडर्ड एज अ सिंबल ऑफ लव. बट अलॉन्ग विथ वी कैन से फोर्ट बिल्डिंग, और अलॉन्ग विथ ताजमहल, मॉस्क बिल्डिंग also achieved its highest level under Shahjahan. Okay? What we have to keep in mind, mosque building also achieved the top level, peak level under Shahjahan. One of the best example is Moti Masjid at Agra. Again, just like Taj Mahal, fully built in marble. Again, just like Taj Mahal, fully built in a white marble. Moti Masjid at Agra is also one of the best examples of Shahjahan's mosque building. But the crown of mosque building is Jama Masjid at Delhi. The crown of mosque building is Jama Masjid at Delhi. If Moti Masjid at Agra was built in white marble, Jama Masjid in Delhi is built in a red sandstone. Jama Masjid in Delhi, it is built in a red sandstone. Okay? So these are very, very crucial aspects, not only for understanding the history, but also from exam perspective. And here you will see why it is important, because the influence of Mughal architecture and the features of Mughal architecture is also witnessed on the architecture of different provincial kingdoms. So when the Mughal Empire started declining, and when the Sikhs became powerful in Punjab, okay, and when the Sikh kingdom came, you will see that many Sikh buildings, they will also have Mughal architecture. Many Sikh buildings, they will also have the Mughal architecture. And even before Sikh kingdom came, during the time of Mughals, especially Akbar, when the Golden Temple was built, a very famous Golden Temple of Amritsar, it was built during the time of Akbar only. Okay? So at that time only, you will see in a Golden Temple, many features of Mughal architecture are visible. In a Golden Temple also, many features of Mughal architecture are visible. ये पॉइंट हमें ध्यान में रखना है. ठीक, गोल्डन टेम्पल में भी मुगल फीचर्स मिलते हैं. तो इतना बढ़िया से मुगल आर्किटेक्चर की ग्लोरी है, और बहुत सारे बिल्डिंग्स हम मुगल आर्किटेक्चर के आज भी देख पाते हैं. तो आइए फिर अभी पेंटिंग आर्किटेक्चर के बाद पेंटिंग और म्यूजिक की तरफ रुख करते हैं. नाउ वी विल टर्न आवर अटेंशन टुवर्ड्स पेंटिंग एंड म्यूजिक. सो लेट्स सी क्या है पेंटिंग और म्यूजिक में. So what we will see that just like architecture, in a painting and music also, Mughals did fabulous job. Okay? So foundation of Mughal painting, as we discussed under Humayun के टाइम में हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. The foundation of Mughal painting was laid by Humayun. When Humayun was there in Persia to seek the help of Persian Shah and his army to regain his empire. Humayun basically, he brought with him two painters, two Persian painters, Mir Sayyid Ali एंड ख्वाजा अबुद समद. ये दो पेंटर्स को लेके हुमायूं इंडिया में आए थे और ये दोनों पेंटर्स अकबर के समय में फेमस हो गए. अकबर एस्टैब्लिश अ पेंटिंग्स डिपार्टमेंट, राइट, एंड ही बेसिकली एस्टैब्लिश स्टूडियोज फॉर पेंटिंग एज फार एज द पेंटिंग्स डिपार्टमेंट वाज कंसर्न. वो जो स्टूडियोज अकबर ने बनाए थे उसको तस्वीर खाना कहते थे. वो जो स्टूडियोज अकबर ने बनाए थे उसको तस्वीर खाना कहते थे. और ये जो पूरा पेंटिंग्स डिपार्टमेंट है उसका इंचार्ज जो थे या उसका जो चार्ज दिया गया था वो किसको दिया था? मीर सैयद अली एंड ख्वाजा अबुद समद. अकबर के टाइम में हमें क्या देखना है? अंडर अकबर मिनिएचर पेंटिंग्स बिकेम वेरी फेमस. तो मिनिएचर पेंटिंग क्या होता है? पेंटिंग विच इज डन ऑन पेपर और पीस ऑफ क्लॉथ, इट इज कॉल्ड मिनिएचर पेंटिंग. ठीक. सो मिनिएचर पेंटिंग्स बिकेम वेरी फेमस अंडर अकबर. बट द क्लाइमैक्स ऑफ मुगल पेंटिंग वॉज विटनेस अंडर जहांगीर. अभी थोड़ी देर पहले मैंने बताया जहांगीर को सबसे ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट पेंटिंग में था. अकबर से भी ज़्यादा बेहतर पेंटिंग्स आपको जहांगीर के अंडर मिलते हैं. सो अंडर जहांगीर पोर्ट्रेट पेंटिंग एंड एनिमल पेंटिंग बिकेम लाइक अ स्पेशलिटी. पोर्ट्रेट पेंटिंग एंड एनिमल पेंटिंग दे ऑल्सो रिच देयर क्लाइमैक्स अंडर जहांगीर. राइट फ्रॉम द टाइम ऑफ अकबर वी विल फाइंड इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ यूरोपियन पेंटिंग. European techniques and their influence was visible in Mughal paintings right since the time of Akbar only. Then you will see the Mughals tried to make their paintings three-dimensional. Mughals tried to introduce 3D effect as far as their paintings were concerned. So these features again they will be asked in the examination. But one feature or one diversity that was missing. One diversity of the painting that was missing under Mughal was oil painting. Oil paintings could not develop unfortunately under Mughals. So this was we can say highlights of the paintings under Mughals. Now let's come to music. Okay, now let's come to music. Let's see what happened in the field of music. Yes, there was all round development, and that's why, as I mentioned, it was a second classical age. So under musical developments you will see again everything will start from Akbar. So Akbar patronized Tansen, very famous singer known as Mia Tansen. Mia was a title which was given by Akbar to Tansen, and Tansen was a disciple of हरिदास ऑफ वृंदावन. वृंदावन या मथुरा रीजन जो है जहाँ पे भगवान श्री कृष्ण उनका जन्म हुआ था, वहाँ पे हरिदास नाम के एक गायक थे या सिंगर थे. उनके शिष्य या डिसाइपल तानसेन माने जाते हैं. तानसेन इज फेमस फॉर सिंगिंग द रागाज लाइक मियाँ की मल्हार और मेघ मल्हार. ठीक है, मियाँ की तोड़ी, राग दरबारी, राग मियाँ की मल्हार और मेघ मल्हार, राग मियाँ की तोड़ी, राग दरबारी. सच रागाज और द ट्यून्स इन विच द सॉन्ग्स आर songs are sung, the tunes in which the songs are sung, these ragas were basically sung by the Tansen. Then during this time you will see Raja Man Singh of Gwalior. He had perfected Drupad style of singing and music. Raja Man Singh of the Gwalior, he had just before the Mughals he had developed and perfected the Drupad style of singing and music. So this Drupad style was also adopted by Tansen. Even Tansen adopted this Drupad style. This point we have to keep in mind. But if the musical developments reach their climax under Mughals, that was under Muhammad Shah, one of the latter Mughal emperor. During the 18th century, there was one latter Mughal emperor, and we will call every Mughal emperor as a latter Mughal emperor after the death of Aurangzeb. Okay? Up to Aurangzeb, whoever became Mughal emperor, they are called great Mughals because of their overall achievements. But after Aurangzeb, whoever became Mughal emperor, they are called latter Mughals. So there was one latter Mughal emperor of the 18th century. His name was Muhammad Shah. He was very interested in music, dance and cultural activities, and that's why he was called as Rangila, or he had a title Rangila. Okay, so under him the music reached the climax. Especially the Khayal style of music and singing, especially Khayal style of singing and music became very popular under Muhammad Shah. And Adarango as well as Sadarango, who were two great music composers of Khayal style of music. Okay? ख्याल स्टाइल ऑफ जो म्यूजिक है और सिंगिंग है उसके दो बहुत बढ़िया से कंपोजर्स थे, अदारंग एंड सदारंग. इन दोनों को मोहम्मद शाह रंगीला ने पैटर्नाइज किया था, ये पॉइंट ध्यान में रखना है. और मोहम्मद शाह रंगीला के अंडर और एक चीज़ इंटरेस्टिंग देखने को मिली, जो क्लासिकल हिंदुस्तानी म्यूजिक है या जो हिंदुस्तानी क्लासिकल म्यूजिक है उसके साथ साथ जो इंडिया के अलग अलग पार्ट्स का फोक म्यूजिक है, उसके साथ साथ इंडिया के जो अलग अलग पार्ट्स का फोक म्यूजिक है लाइक टप्पा एंड ठुमरी, फोक म्यूजिक लाइक टप्पा एंड ठुमरी, दैट ऑल्सो गॉट इंटीग्रेटेड with a Hindustani classical music under Muhammad Shah Rangila. So that was a very curious case of a musical development. Okay. Then finally we will come to the last aspect of cultural development, and that is language and literature. Just like architecture, painting or music, language and literary developments are also very important. So Persian was the official language of the Mughal court. Persian was the official language under Mughals. So obviously so many of the Persian works we can find. So Persian literature, okay, Persian literature was developed properly under Mughals. Especially Akbar had established a translation department. And Akbar used to translate many important works from Arabic and Sanskrit into Persian language. But that doesn't mean that Mughals were neglecting Sanskrit. Sanskrit was also patronized by the Mughals. Okay? Sanskrit was also patronized by the Mughals. In fact, if the Persian was a court language, Sanskrit was an associate language. If the Persian was a court language, then Sanskrit was associate language. Okay? And Dara Shikoh, who was the eldest son of Shah Jahan, he was the patron of Sanskrit. He was a patron of Sanskrit. He was a master of Sanskrit. He was expert in Sanskrit. Okay? Then again, if you come back to Akbar, फिर से अकबर की तरफ आते हैं, तो we will see Hindi poets started to get attached with the Mughal court from the time of Akbar. Persian poets के साथ साथ Hindi poets भी अकबर के कोर्ट में भी आने लगे. The most influential Hindi poet, the most influential Hindi poet was तुलसीदास. तुलसीदास जिनको सारे नॉर्थ इंडिया में जाना जाता है, ठीक? क्यों? बिकॉज ही रोट अ वेरी फेमस हिंदी वर्जन ऑफ रामायण. तुलसीदास ने क्या किया, रामायण का हिंदी वर्जन लिखा अवधी हिंदी लैंग्वेज में. हिंदी का एक लैंग्वेज डायलेक्ट या बोली है अवधी हिंदी, उसमें उन्होंने रामचरितमानस लिखा, द वेरी हिंदी वर्जन ऑफ रामायण. सो ही वॉज वेरी influential Hindi poet of time. Then, along with Persian and Sanskrit, one more linguistic development took place, and that was a development of Urdu language. But what we have to see and what we have to keep in mind, Urdu did not develop under Mughals. Urdu had already developed in Deccan. Okay? Urdu had already developed in Deccan before Mughals. In the 14th century, when there was a Deccan kingdom, as far as Deccan, that means Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka region was concerned. Okay, that kingdom was known as Bahamani kingdom. That kingdom was called Bahamani kingdom. Under them, during 14th century, Urdu developed. Okay, and that's why since Deccan was called Dakhan, Urdu was called Dakhani. Urdu was called Dakhani. So it was only in the 18th century that Urdu reached the Mughal court. It was only in the 18th century that Urdu reached the Mughal court. Again, you will see it was it was during the time of latter Mughal emperor Muhammad Shah Rangila. it was during the time of latter Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah Rangila that Urdu reached Mughal court, and surprisingly, हमें विश्वास नहीं होगा, but immediately Urdu became so popular. Immediately Urdu became so popular that within no time it replaced Persian as a court language. ज़्यादा समय लगा नहीं कि उर्दू कोर्ट लैंग्वेज बन गई पर्शियन के बदले में. ये सारा दिखा गया था मोहम्मद शाह रंगीला के समय में 18th century में. Then again during the time of Akbar, Abul Fazl was a great scholar and historian of a Persian language. Abul Fazl was a very famous Persian scholar and historian. He introduced a prose style of writing. Abul Fazl, he introduced a prose style of writing. Okay? A style of writing whereby you will see that the poetic aspects will be used for writing. Okay? And then Abul Fazl wrote famous works like Ain-e-Akbari and Akbarnama. Abul Fazl wrote famous works like Ain-e-Akbari and Akbarnama. And these works are very important to understand Mughal history. मुगल हिस्ट्री को अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए ये दोनों वर्क्स बहुत फेमस है, आइन अकबरी एंड अकबरनामा. देन अबुल फजल हैड अ ट्विन ब्रदर. अबुल फजल हैड अ ट्विन. ठीक, तो उनके जुड़वा जो भाई थे उनका नाम क्या था? अबुल फैजी. उनके जो जुड़वा भाई है उनका नाम क्या है? अबुल फैजी. सो अबुल फैजी, जैसे मैंने बताया कि अकबर ने ट्रांसलेशन डिपार्टमेंट एस्टेब्लिश किया था, उस ट्रांसलेशन डिपार्टमेंट के इंचार्ज अबुल फैजी थे, अबुल फजल के जुड़वा भाई. So under Abul Faizi's supervision, Mahabharata was translated into Persian language. Mahabharata was translated into Persian language. This point we have to keep in mind. And finally, one more literary highlight you can see. As I mentioned earlier, Dara Shukho, who was a master of Sanskrit and who patronized Sanskrit. So, being an expert in Sanskrit, Dara Shukho translated Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, which are Hindu spiritual or a sacred text, and they are written in Sanskrit language. They are composed in Sanskrit language. But being a master of Sanskrit, being an expert in Sanskrit, Dara Shukho translated Bhagavad Gita and Upanishad into Persian. ठीक है, दारा शुको ने भगवद गीता और उपनिषद जो हिंदू सैक्रेड टेक्स्ट है संस्कृत में लिखे हुए, उसको पर्शियन लैंग्वेज में आपका ट्रांसलेट किया था. सो इन दैट फैशन यू विल सी multifarious, holistic and all-round cultural developments in the field of art, architecture, literature, painting, music and language took place under the Mughals. And that's why the Mughal period is known as glorious period of art and culture, a second classical age. So, my dear students, we have come to the end of the current series with regards to medieval India. I am sure, just like the first series about Delhi Sultanate, you must have thoroughly enjoyed this series also with regards to Sher Shah Suri and the Mughal Empire, and your understanding of the history must have been enhanced not only from the exam perspective but overall also as a part of our life process. So today I would like to take the leave of all of you due to time constraint, but again I will also like to engage with all of you once again with a new session, with a different session, and with a different theme of Indian history. Okay? Till then, basically, you should ingrain this history in your mind permanently, and not only you should score the marks in the examination, but also you should have to take the leaf out of the history to basically solve many problems which we are facing today. So, on this note, I am taking your leave. So, goodbye all of you, and enjoy your studies, continue your studies. Have a good success, great success. Again, we will meet very soon. Thank you very much.